Here's more wrestling news for September 6, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include: Bryan Danielson reveals why he left WWE for AEW. Why has The Butcher been absent from AEW? Matt Hardy takes a shot at WWE after AEW All Out. WWE superstars and more react to Ruby Soho's AEW All Out debut. Sasha Banks teases possible WWE return date. Legendary WWE referee Mike Chioda confirmed for a major event featuring WWE Hall of Famers, top stars from AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. WWE files new trademark for Matt Riddle. WWE originally wanted former tag team to wear Karrion Kross's new ring gear. I'm the man he came to. Ex-WWE star comments on his upcoming match against Braun Strowman. AEW star working on a new gimmick, and more. We're starting out today with Daniel Bryan, or should that be Bryan Danielson, who debuted for AEW at All Out 2021. Danielson came out at the end of the show, aligning himself with Christian Cage and Jurassic Express to fight off the Elite, all to a raucous ovation from the crowd. This marked Danielson's first appearance in a wrestling ring since his loss to Roman Reigns on the April 30th SmackDown, and we now know more as to why Danielson left WWE. Sean Ross Sapp reports that Danielson loved working in WWE and was grateful to the company, but left to face a new roster of talents that he's never faced before. AEW has a ton of young stars Danielson is yet to face, and Sapp notes that Danielson also loves the AEW fan base and wants to be a part of that community. Danielson's third reason for the AEW move is more simple, as it's because he's a wrestler, and in the words of Danielson himself, is here to goddamn wrestle. The former WWE champion will have plenty of opportunities to do just that in AEW, even though he said 2021 is his last year as a full-time wrestler. And we're sure that plenty of people on AEW's roster are wanting to be Danielson's first opponent post-WWE. Last night's All Out event also saw the return of The Butcher, who took out Orange Cassidy during the show. The Butcher hasn't competed since the April 14th AEW Dark taping, and we now know what's been keeping him from the ring. Fightful Select reports that The Butcher tore his thumb during a match and has been recovering from this injury over the past few months. Their report also notes that The Butcher was in Chicago this weekend for All Out fan events, but that he wasn't advertised to appear at All Out. Now The Butcher is back on TV and made quite an impression at All Out as part of Matt Hardy's group of heels. And it's not just the babyfaces of AEW that are the targets of the former ECW World Champion. After All Out, Hardy took to Twitter to say he was ecstatic with the show and shared a video from his match with Sammy Guevara, in which he claims, "Competition's in the mud, I love to see it." This was seemingly a reference to WWE, as AEW's roster have never shied away from attacking Vince McMahon's promotion, especially those who once worked for the WWE CEO. It was on the pay-per-view pre-show that the Hardy family office came up short against Jurassic Express and the Best Friends, but despite this loss, Matt was more than happy with how AEW All Out went down. Earlier this year, Ruby Riott was released from WWE due to budget cuts, and now the former superstar is officially home in AEW. After weeks of speculation, Ruby Soho joined the company at All Out, competing in the Women's Casino Battle Royal, and went on to win, earning herself a future Women's World's title match against Britt Baker. Winning her first match for the company and becoming #1 contender is a huge way for Ruby to start her time in AEW, and it's not just the fans who are happy for her. SmackDown's Tegan Knox tweeted that she was sobbing with happiness for Ruby, whilst Cassie Lee, aka Peyton Royce, said that AEW are blessed to have her. Ruby's former Riot Squad partner Liv Morgan added that she was in tears and called Soho a star, and Brandi Rhodes welcomed her to the company. We'll have to see where Ruby's Soho career goes from here, but things couldn't have gotten off to a better start in AEW. Over to WWE next, as Sasha Banks hasn't been seen in a while due to unforeseen circumstances, but the former women's champion appears to be on the mend. Banks didn't appear at last Friday's SmackDown, but was backstage and may have teased when fans will finally see her again. On Twitter last night, Banks posted the song The Final Countdown with the number 12, and fans quickly noticed that 12 days after her tweet would be Friday, September 17th, which could be when she's returning to SmackDown. There were some who believe that Banks' song choice was a nod to Bryan Danielson, who used the theme on the Indies prior to WWE, but that didn't explain the number 12. It appears that Banks is counting down the days until the 17th, when she could make her return, despite WWE being hopeful that she'll be back in time for the September 10th Super SmackDown inside Madison Square Garden. Time will tell when Banks eventually returns, but after last appearing at an August 7th live event, fans are ready to see the boss back in action. In April 2020, veteran referee Mike Chioda was released by WWE, and after finding brief work in AEW, has now been confirmed for a major event in Qatar. As reported by Lucha Libre Online, Chioda has signed with Qatar Pro Wrestling and will serve as their production supervisor and head of referees. Chioda's contract is for 1 year, and he'll be on hand for next February's Super Slam 3 event from the Lusail Sports Arena in Qatar. Super Slam 3 will be a huge event with Bret Hart, Sting, Jon Moxley, Brian Cage, Booker T, and many more already confirmed. It's also been reported that Braun Strowman could be making it to the show, and whatever the card turns out to be, the matches will be officiated by WWE's longest-tenured referee on February 26th. In 2021, one of WWE's best-booked stars has been Riddle, who's currently living his dream by tagging with Randy Orton. Now, a new trademark has been filed about the original Bro, as on August 31st, WWE trademarked Bro Down with the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office. Now, WWE has the exclusive rights to that term for merchandise and in the wrestling industry, and it shows that WWE have plenty of plans for the Raw Tag Team Champion. More from AEW as CM Punk made his impressive in-ring debut last night, defeating Darby Allin after a GTS. On Twitter, Punk dug up one of his old tweets from December 2013, mere weeks before he'd walk out of WWE, which reads, "This poop just ain't fun anymore." Now Punk is in a much better mood as he's now tweeted, "This shit is fun again," as he's enjoying himself in AEW. After beating Allin, Punk shook hands with both his opponent and Sting as a show of respect following a hard-fought match of their own. Punk's wife AJ Mendez, aka WWE's AJ Lee, also shared her 2 cents, saying that the match was stressful for her, but Punk proved he's still got it. On her Instagram story, she also joked about wanting to see Punk and Allin kiss and said that she'd lose it if Kane debuted for AEW immediately after Daniel Bryan. AJ hasn't competed in the ring herself since 2015, but is still very much invested in the product, and we imagine she'll be watching closely now that her husband is All Elite. AJ Lee was watching All Out closely, and given the amount of former WWE names who debuted last night, it's possible that Vince McMahon was doing the same. During the show, fans discussed what McMahon is thinking after such an epic show, and the chairman of the board was even trending after All Out concluded. One fan questioned how McMahon could top what AEW did last night, saying that AEW is coming for the crown as the top company in wrestling, and many others shared the same sentiment. Other fans questioned how McMahon could just let Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson leave without locking them into contracts, with some fans just wanting to mock the WWE chairman. It'll be interesting to see if any of WWE's booking from now on is in response to what happened at All Out, but last night's show definitely impressed fans, and led to McMahon trending for a reason he definitely didn't want. More from Raw as Karrion Kross has been booked better on the Raw brand as of late, even if he's having to deal with some unique attire. With leather straps and a studded helmet, this new look seems to be a throwback to the legendary Demolition, but Kross wasn't the first choice for this outfit. Speaking on the Chair Shots to the Cranium podcast, Eric Rowan said how he and Luke Harper were first pitched an almost identical look, but the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions made it clear they wanted no part of this attire. Instead, the pair donned giant mallets as the Bludgeon Brothers before they were sent to different brands as part of the 2019 draft, but at least they were able to avoid the bizarre outfit that Kross now dons every single week. Last week, Braun Strowman's non-compete clause with WWE expired, and we already know that his first match back will be on October 1st. At Free the Narrative 2, Strowman will face fellow WWE alum EC3, and this is a match the former Universal Champion specifically requested. That's according to EC3 himself, who spoke to Cage Side Seats about the match, saying that Strowman knocked on his door and is looking to control his own narrative after years in WWE. Unless Strowman makes a surprise appearance somewhere in September, Free the Narrative 2 will be his first match since being released from WWE on June 2nd. And after comparing his non-compete clause to a prison, the Monster Among Men is ready for EC3 to get these hands. And we're ending with AEW's Kip Sabian, who hasn't been seen in a very long time, after undergoing successful arm surgery in mid-May. Sabian's last AEW TV appearance was on April 28th, where he was attacked by Miro, and it now appears that he could be working on a new gimmick. On social media, Sabian posted a photo of himself in a suit with a box over his head with the words, "Underrated, get over it," scrawled on the box. During last weekend's All Out Fan Fest, Sabian did an unadvertised meet and greet, and over the 8x10 photos, scratched out his own face and wrote "No," indicating that he's no longer connecting with that character. In videos from the meet and greet, it didn't appear that Sabian talked at all with fans, as the 29-year-old is clearly undergoing some kind of dramatic change of character off-screen. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.